Beneath the timeless gaze of the step pyramid of Djoser, the Saqqara necropolis has long guarded its secrets. For millennia, it has been a city of the dead, a vast and silent tapestry of tombs and temples. But some secrets are buried deeper than others, sealed away not only by stone, but by the immense weight of time itself. In the early months of 2023, a team led by the celebrated Egyptologist Zahi Hawass was probing this ancient ground. They descended a shaft nearly 50 feet into the earth, where the air grew still and the light of the sun became a distant memory. There, they confronted a barrier of solid limestone, its seams sealed with ancient plaster. A final, silent warning to the living, etched with hieroglyphs promising divine retribution for any who dared to disturb the slumber within. When the seal was finally broken, what lay beyond stunned the world. A sarcophagus, hewn from a single block of limestone, had remained unopened for 4,300 years. Inside rested the mortal remains of a man named Hekashepes, a high-ranking official of the 5th dynasty, an era that predates the celebrated age of Tutankhamun by centuries. But it was not his age alone that defied belief. The body was encased in a delicate layer of gold leaf, a symbol of divinity meant to guide the soul into an eternal afterlife. More astonishing still were the methods of preservation. Complex resin coatings, meticulously layered linen wrappings, and traces of exotic oils. This was a level of mortuary science believed to have been perfected more than 1,000 years later. The art of mummification, it seemed, had not evolved slowly. It had emerged with a sophistication previously thought impossible. The tomb itself offering only silence and stone. Yet this austerity spoke volumes. In interconnected shafts nearby, further secrets were waiting. One chamber yielded a cache of over 100 bronze statues of the gods: Osiris, Isis, Anubis, the divine guardians of the afterlife. Another revealed a collection of ceramic jars, still holding the residue of the sacred oils and resins used in the embalming. Analysis performed at the University of Cairo uncovered a startling truth. The chemical signatures of these substances were not native to Egypt. They pointed to vast trade networks, stretching thousands of miles into the ancient Near East, a commercial and cultural exchange happening centuries earlier than the historical record had ever suggested. The tomb of Hekashepes is more than a burial. It is a key, unlocking a lost chapter of human innovation. It tells a story not of gold and grandeur, but of scientific experimentation, spiritual depth, and a world far more interconnected than we ever imagined. The sands of Saqqara have not given up a treasure. They have unveiled a timeline, reminding us that history is not a finished story, but a silent desert, still waiting for its whispers to be heard. Beneath the timeless sands of Saqqara, a discovery whispers a new history of an ancient world. It suggests that the earliest Egyptian priests, guardians of the sacred passage between life and death, already commanded a profound understanding of preservation, chemistry, and the intricate biology of the human form, long before the first lines of anatomical science were ever recorded. But the secrets of this particular tomb do not end with the body it holds. Deep within the earth, the unseen is being made visible. Ground-penetrating radar, painting a ghostly image of the world below, has revealed a large, unexcavated chamber lying just beyond the burial shaft. The initial scans, faint but tantalizing, suggest it contains additional sarcophagi. These are not just any burials. They may belong to members of a previously unknown family line, a lineage directly connected to the master builders of the pyramids themselves. If this proves true, these silent occupants could provide the first direct, physical links between the early dynastic rulers and the legions of workers who engineered Egypt's most enduring monuments. Dr. Zahi Hawass, a name synonymous with Egyptian archaeology, has described the find as the most complete Old Kingdom burial ever discovered. His assessment is grounded in astonishing fact. The mummy, named Hekashepes, was not merely intact. Its placement within the tomb bespoke a level of ritual complexity, a theological sophistication thought impossible for that distant era. Even more stunning was the presence of delicate fragments of gold leaf embedded within, ever found in Egypt, a testament to a belief that the flesh of the gods was made of gold, and that to touch the eternal, one must be adorned in it. Yet in the world of archaeology, every discovery is a new debate. Not all scholars agree on the interpretation. Some researchers question whether Hekashepes is truly the earliest mummy, or simply the most exquisitely preserved example of a tradition that had already existed for generations, its other examples lost to time and decay. To settle the question, new radiocarbon tests are underway, promising to interrogate the very atoms of the body and the sacred resins that coat it. If the results confirm the initial estimates, it would forcibly push the origins of Egyptian mummification back by at least a century, perhaps significantly more, redrawing the very timeline of civilization's dawn. The mystery, however, only deepens. As the excavation expanded, archaeologists realized they had not found a simple tomb, but a doorway. The surrounding shafts descend into a vast, labyrinthine complex that sprawls beneath Saqqara, an acropolis of the dead so ancient it predates the Great Pyramid of Giza itself. Within these silent, subterranean corridors lie dozens of unopened tombs, some bearing the marks of deliberate concealment, sealed by their creators with a finality meant to last for eternity. The architecture here is a language of transition, a physical bridge between the era of the humble mastaba tombs and the sky-reaching ambition of the Great Pyramids. It is as if Saqqara itself served as a sacred testing ground, a divine laboratory where the architectural and theological ideas that would define an entire civilization were first forged. And from the mummy of Hekashepes, another revolution in our understanding is emerging. Recent DNA analysis has revealed a startling surprise. The man's lineage appears to originate from a previously unknown, long-held theory that Egypt's earliest elites came exclusively from the south, hinting instead at a far more complex and interwoven cultural tapestry in the nation's formative years. In a final shocking twist, microscopic analysis of the linen fibers used in his wrappings has uncovered weaving methods unseen anywhere else in the ancient world. These are techniques of such refinement that they would not appear again for nearly 1,000 years. If these findings hold, Hekashepes represents not just the oldest known mummy, but a living relic of a lost technology, a missing link between Egypt's prehistoric past and its meteoric rise as the most advanced civilization on Earth. He is no longer just a man, but a vessel of history, forcing us to reconsider how much we truly know about the past. For every tomb we open, we find not answers, but deeper and more profound questions, realizing that the earth beneath our feet is not a graveyard of the dead, but a library of forgotten worlds, waiting for us to learn how to read. In the ancient world, there was a point of convergence, a moment where magic, religion, and the nascent whispers of science first merged into a singular, audacious purpose. It was here, in the crucible of Egyptian thought, that humanity began its quest to master the art of conquering death itself. The recent unearthing of what may be the world's oldest mummy has already forced a rewriting of history's earliest chapters, but that discovery was merely a prelude. Deep within the timeless sands, another secret has been disturbed. A tomb that has finally yielded to the modern world after lying in absolute darkness for over 4,000 years. What its guardians preserved may reveal a truth untouched since the age of the pharaohs. Beneath the searing Egyptian sun, a threshold has been crossed. A chamber, sealed and silent for 4 millennia, has been opened. No human has breathed this air. No eye has seen these walls, since the day they were locked by hands that have long since turned to dust. What lies within this sacred space could irrevocably alter our understanding of one of history's most magnificent civilizations. It began not with a thunderous revelation, but with the patient, unassuming work of an excavation on the fringes of the Saqqara necropolis. Here, in the shadow of the Great Step Pyramid, archaeologists traced the faint, ghostly outlines of collapsed stone walls. Their search led them not to a temple, but to a passageway, its entrance choked with the rubble of ages, its existence unmarked on any map. The shaft descended, a vertical journey back through time, each meter carrying the team deeper into an epoch when the pyramids themselves were still a recent marvel. At its base, they met a final barrier, a wall of immense limestone blocks, fused together with a mortar that had hardened to the consistency of steel. Stamped into this seal was the royal cartouche of a name few had ever seen, the forgotten signature of a ruler whose story had been erased from the annals of the kingdom. The moment the final stone was pried free, a silence poured from the opening. A silence so profound, so ancient, it felt almost deliberate, a presence in itself. The beams of their lights sliced through the darkness, and the void erupted in color. Painted walls, still blazing with the vibrancy of their creation, the mineral pigments clinging tenaciously to life after 40 centuries of solitude. Hieroglyphs, crisp and elegant, danced in the light, narrating scenes of royal processions, of solemn offerings to the gods, and of the soul's perilous journey through the underworld. One panel, a masterpiece of funerary art, depicted the pharaoh standing in the presence of Osiris, the lord of the afterlife. In his hand, he held the Ankh, the sacred symbol of eternal life, a promise made manifest in stone and paint. Then came the most startling discovery of all. The burial chamber itself was perfectly intact, a time capsule from the Middle Kingdom. A magnificent sarcophagus of cedar wood, a costly import from the distant forests of the Levant, lay in the center of the room. Its lid, carved with the serene and powerful face of the king, stared up into the darkness it had known for millennia. Arranged around it, an astonishing array of artifacts lay precisely where ancient hands had placed them. Alabaster jars, still sealed with resin, held the precious oils for the body's eternal preservation. Gold amulets, fashioned into the sacred shape of the scarab beetle, were laid out to provide magical protection. Trays of dried figs and bread, a feast prepared for a spirit, waited for a banquet that would never be eaten. It was a scene of such immaculate preservation, it felt as though the king had been entombed only yesterday. Today, scientific advances grant archaeologists a new kind of sight, a way to read these relics as never before. High-resolution, three-dimensional scanning captures every delicate brushstroke on the painted walls, preserving them digitally before the slightest change in humidity can disturb the ancient pigments. Residue analysis of the sealed jars can reveal the precise composition of the sacred oils, offering new insights into the complex rituals of mummification. In this tomb, the past is not merely being observed, it is being interrogated. The silence of 4,000 years is finally broken not by voices, but by data, each finding a whisper from a world we thought was lost. We have opened a tomb, but we have also opened a dialogue with eternity, giving a new voice to a king whose name was forgotten. And in doing so, we find ourselves reflecting on our own quest for permanence. For in our relentless pursuit to understand their immortality, we grant them a new one in our memory. Within the stillness of the newly opened chamber, time itself seemed to have been held in suspension. Jars, sealed for 4,000 years, revealed their secrets not to the eye, but to the air. Traces of honey, impossibly sweet, still clung to their earthenware prisons. Perfumed oils, their botanical essence, a faint spectral echo, lingered as a sensory bridge to a vanished world. But it was the sarcophagus that held the chamber's heart. Here, the linen wrappings had resisted the relentless chemistry of decay. Using the quiet hum of non-invasive imaging, researchers peered through the layers of ancient fabric, their screens revealing the dark contours of a mummified body. They could see the king without unwrapping him, preserving the pharaoh exactly as his priests had intended, undisturbed, complete, eternal. This tomb, however, was more than a capsule of preserved time. It was a political statement, a silent testament carved in stone. Inscriptions etched upon the walls hinted at a kingdom under duress, a reign defined by crisis. They spoke of a devastating drought that strained the Nile's bounty, turning verdant fields to dust. They chronicled border conflicts flaring in the harsh Sinai, and, more ominously, the rise of powerful provincial governors whose ambition began to challenge the authority of the crown. The pharaoh's choice of this remote burial site, far from the grand pyramids of his ancestors, may have been a final, desperate act of defiance, or perhaps one of quiet self-preservation, a search for eternal rest beyond the grasping reach of courtly intrigue. Yet the most haunting element was not the king himself, but a whisper of his mind. Tucked into an unassuming recess in the chamber wall, archaeologists found a narrow stone chest, its lid sealed fast with black pitch. Inside, protected from the ages, lay a set of scrolls, inscribed in a delicate, flowing hieratic script. Early translations suggest these were not hymns or spells for the afterlife, but the king's personal reflections, a discovery of breathtaking rarity in Egyptian archaeology. One fragment speaks of the immense weight of the double crown, the sacred burden of uniting two lands. Another passage laments the profound loneliness of ruling, a solitude so deep that even the gods seem silent. If authenticated, these writings could represent one of the earliest examples of royal introspection ever discovered, the inner world of a god-king finally laid bare. The opening of this tomb has also fractured long-held assumptions about ancient engineering. The chamber's ceiling, a precise mosaic of massive granite slabs, shows no signs of collapse or shifting. It has endured the tremors of the earth, the deluge of forgotten floods, and the slow, crushing weight of time, a monument to a precision in stonework that borders on the miraculous. Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys have unveiled an even greater secret: a hidden ventilation system, ingeniously carved into the living rock, designed to preserve the quality of the air for the deceased. Such innovations are forcing scholars to reconsider the technological capabilities of the Middle Kingdom, an era often overshadowed by the colossal achievements of the Pyramid Age. And yet, for all these marvels, an inescapable sense of intrusion hangs in the air. The last human eyes to see this space belonged to a priest, placing the final offering before sealing the darkness forever. Now, after 4 millennia, we stand in that same hallowed ground. Our cold camera lights and sterile measuring instruments have replaced the flicker of oil lamps and the sacred scent of incense. The ancient Egyptians believed that to speak the name of the dead was to keep their soul alive, to grant them immortality. With this discovery, the pharaoh's name, once lost to the winds of the desert, is spoken again. Some mysteries, perhaps most, will remain. The full translation of the scrolls will take years of painstaking work. The genetic testing of the mummy may reveal unexpected lineages, ancient alliances, or betrayals hidden in the bloodline. And somewhere, still buried under the vast and indifferent desert, other stories lie waiting for their own dawn. For history is not merely a record of what is known, but a vast, dark ocean of all that has been forgotten, waiting for the light. High in the misty highlands of West Java, an ancient secret sleeps beneath a blanket of earth and jungle. From a distance, it is merely Gunung Padang, the Mountain of Enlightenment, another emerald peak in a landscape of volcanoes. But as one draws closer, the illusion of nature begins to fracture. Impossibly straight lines and terraced contours emerge from the verdant slopes, hinting at a design too deliberate for geology alone. For generations, local legend has whispered of a king who, in a feat of supernatural power, attempted to construct a palace in a single night. As the story goes, the dawn broke before his work was complete, freezing his ambition into the fragmented pillars and stone platforms that crown the summit today. It is a captivating folktale, yet recent scientific investigation suggests a reality far more astonishing. Beneath this mountain, evidence points to a colossal tiered pyramid, a structure so ancient it may predate the last ice age, potentially by thousands of years. The claim is staggering. It proposes a highly advanced civilization existing in a period we have long considered the domain of scattered hunter-gatherers. To uncover its truth requires an ascent into the past. A winding path of 370 stone steps, worn smooth by time and pilgrimage, leads upwards. With each step, the jungle canopy gives way to a clearing, revealing 5 distinct terraces that climb toward the sky, each framed by crumbling retaining walls of stacked volcanic stone. Sprawled across these ancient platforms are hundreds of hexagonal andesite ring, the ambiguous signature of their creation. Are they the perfect geometric products of a cooling volcano, or the masterfully quarried building blocks of an antediluvian people? Here, on this silent peak, the line between myth and history blurs, forcing us to question not only what we see, but the very timeline of human ingenuity we thought we knew. The Earth, it seems, is a far better keeper of secrets than our history books.